Welcome to episode 5 of The Wheel of Pod, a Wheel of Time podcast inside the Inner Circle Vodka Bar in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am, as always, one of your hosts, Jesse Ulrich.
And I'm Andy Cagle.
And I'm a co-host today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Visiting co-host, Sarah Guile.
Hey, Sarah.
We're here at Inner Circle Vodka Bar, and today we're going to be talking about episode 7.
Yes, which again had a title that I've already forgotten. I think it had something to do with the Dragon Reborn in the name, maybe? Anyway, let's talk about this thing. Because this episode, good damn, this episode was great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here, you want me to start or you want to start?
So we open up with them going into the ways. We find out that it was made for good purpose. You know, it's obviously dark. They find the marker has been clawed up. And then, of course, we run into Mushin Shin, the wind.
The Dirty Wind?
The Dirty Wind, which, you know, was scary, but also I think came across a little hokier than it did in the book with the voices, but I still liked.
It seemed like they were being attacked by bats. Little bats.
Little bats. I did like it, but I also liked that Nynaeve was the one who kind of like came forth, and she had like the strong willpower to be like, no, and, you know, flex her, she doesn't know how, magical ability with the weaving, and then they were able to escape. And they were at a waygate near Faldara. So who wants to pick it up?
So they go into what I think is a very well designed Faldara. I really liked it that the castle was sort of built into a cliffside. So like if Trollocs or whoever were invading, they have to like climb up this massive hill before even taking trying to attack the castle. I thought it was just a nice touch. I liked how they decided to make sort of the Borderlands sort of going with the choices that the actor who plays Lan made about his costuming and his way of being, adding a sort of Asian vibe to it, which I really liked. So they go to Faldara. They have an interesting conversation with the king there, who at first is just like, did my sister complain to you about Trollocs coming, blah, blah, blah. And Moiraine Sedai's like, I don't have time for this dick measuring contest. Like, shit's coming. A good day. And he's like, I'm sorry. And then they take a little nap. A nap. Some take a nap. Some get nasty. Sarah, you want to take it from there?
I feel like we started with like the battle scene though.
You're right. Oh my God, we skipped right over.
God,
The best part.
The best part. All right, yeah, start with that.
All right,
What
yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one opened up with like I wish they would have started with something like this the first episode of the show.
Oh, yeah.
This would have been really good to get a lot more viewers from somebody who hasn't read the books. It's been a lot of like, wait, what was that name? A lot of closed captioning just to kind of remember who we're talking about. It opens up with this woman who you don't know who she is. She's just a badass warrior. She is struggling to like get to a place where she can have her baby. She's obviously going into contractions and then killing like 5-6 guys in between.
Yep.
And then she has to stop. She gets a side stab and somebody with a heron sword helps her give birth, and then she doesn't make it. Where does the son go?
Yeah.
Or baby. We don't even know
Yeah.
what the second.
That's true. They go back to the flashback later. Yeah. So the whole episode, you're like, I wonder who that baby was. I mean, no one who read the book is wondering who that baby is. We all know, but TV viewers are wondering who that baby was. But I mean, honestly, from the casting, they kind of made it pretty clear who the baby was from the look of the mother. There's only one character who looks like that.
Yep, that's
So
true.
as someone who didn't know, like, what did you, when
Yeah.
you saw that first scene, obviously it was a really badass scene, but
God,
were you able
amazing.
to connect kind of what it was happening?
No, I had no idea.
Excellent.
No idea. I knew it was like a flashback of some type, but maybe it was a character that they hadn't introduced because they've done that.
Mm-hmm.
To where you're just watching a flashback and you have no idea who you're seeing, and then
And then the person comes up.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy, I don't want to speak from you, but like as a book reader, actually seeing the scene that gets sort of described to Rand later on. Spoiler alert, it's Rand. It was one. The scene did a lot of book exposition for you about how great the Aiel women warriors are by just showing how badass she is while in pain and trying to hold off giving birth. Like she straight up murders. She wrecks those guys, wrecks them hard.
And just like the choreography, the fight
Yes.
scene, like it was awesome. Like it's probably one of the best fight scenes I've seen.
It was really
on a
well
TV
done.
show.
Yes.
I feel like this like Daredevil hallway fight scene level
Yeah.
where like people are gonna be talking about it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I only had one weird, there was one weird like slowing up, speeding down thing they did that I thought was unnecessary, but the rest of it was really well done, just showing how like just with spears alone, she was like knocking things out of the air and then just like stabbing people through their necks. It was great. But so we see that she's about to give birth or maybe die right before she gives birth. And then it cuts back to all of the BS things Andy and I were mentioning about what happened in the episode.
Yeah.
So the TV show has decided to like jump forward in a couple different relationship ways. For example, with Nynaeve and Lan, who I feel like pretty early on the series get together, but this was a lot faster than before.
Yeah.
And which I'm okay with. Like just
I was fine.
let's move on with that.
I think that, you want to have that love story. And I think the problem is you have a season of television where you can do a slow build in books, but a slow burn in like TV, that will they, won't they, like just doesn't, like you want to see some of that interactions and not like, slow, like little looks and, you can tell, but nothing really happens. Like you kind of have to see something. So I don't mind them kind of like jumping ahead on some of these relationship things.
And credit to Amazon for not actually like showing any of it. They're like, we're not HBO. Like we don't have to show someone's butt again. So we only had one butt this season. One.
But I don't know if they become a significant item as the story goes on. I'm guessing they do, but the way the show presented it to somebody that hadn't read the books, it was she got mad at her friends because she started talking shit about them. She was feeling a little left out. Why are you picking my friend who looks kind of like me, but not me? And why are you guys fighting over her and not me?
Oh, interesting.
And then, I'm going to go hook up with my teacher's boyfriend.
That's a
Like,
very
that's
interesting
what I was
reading.
like, wait, what?
That is a very interesting
As
thing.
book readers,
Or
yeah.
something?
Yeah, and as book readers, we
I would never have gotten
no, because in the books, like Nynaeve is sort of older than them anyway, and they sort of view her now as like a parent, but like as an older sibling sort of situation. But like in the show, they all kind of look like they're similar in age. But that's I can 100% see how a TV viewer would see that in that relation in that.
And
combination
now, as someone like in their 40s, like 21 and 25, like not that far apart.
Right.
In the books, they're a little bit younger, but I think like Rand's like 18, 19, Nynaeve's a little bit younger, or Egwene's a little bit younger. But like, remember when you're like 18, 19 years old and someone 25 just seems so much older. And so like in the book, you really got that. But then like later and like looking at this, they're like, oh yeah, she's a little bit older, but like not anything, like that's nothing. So yeah, I can see where maybe some of that, we can see kind of some jealousy issues and some stuff. And you definitely get to see like a little bit of a love triangle-ish.
Right. And it was well timed because, Moraine is got her own thing that they kind of revealed in the last episode. So you're like, okay, well, that's low down if this guy's dedicated his life to you. But if that's not the case, then okay.
Yeah, I mean the
Everybody wins.
Yeah, their relationship is very interesting because like there's no reason for her not to bring Lan into the Blight with her. She's doing that to protect him. She's being selfish. Like his job is to protect her, and she's not letting him do his job, which I think is it's almost like a betrayal of what their relationship is supposed to be.
I think so too. I think she's maybe going, hey, I don't want to risk him.
Yeah,
we're all gonna die.
Like she's so happy that he's found some happiness that she doesn't want to ruin it.
But at the same time, saying like, hey, this is your sole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna let you do it that's definitely a betrayal, and I think he's gonna be pissed.
So after some characters have had some heart to hearts and then some bones to bones, Rand has a series of flashbacks to things that we have already seen, but from a different angle, showing that he knew that he had channeled a couple of times and was told by the Dirty Wind that he was the Dragon Reborn, and we finally get to see the scene that I think you and I talked about. Should have been in the first episode, which was his father sort of, sick, hallucinating, having flashbacks of his own life scene where he sort of drops to his son that his son is not his son, that he found him while fighting in the Aiel Wars, 20 years earlier.
And I like the fact, and I think I mentioned this before, when they didn't show that, I was like, oh, where is that? Then I'm like, no, it makes sense.
It's better.
Like
it's better here.
It's kind of a mystery. Who the Dragon Reborn is until the end of the season, and I think it came across, and we were able to still see that scene, but I felt like in a place that was more appropriate, and I actually would have appreciated it even in the books. Yeah,
and so the episode ends with all the characters realizing that Moraine and Rand are gone, and we see them walking into the Blight, which is less a Blight and more of just a really, really massive, creepy looking forest.
Yeah.
So,
and the only thing we missed in this recap is they went to a tavern and Moraine talked to Min.
Of course, Min.
Who
God,
Min
man, a lot of things
sees-
happen in this episode.
A lot of things happen in this episode.
Ooh, Min.
Who sees images around people.
Yeah.
It's not the magic system. It's not the weaving or anything else. It is just an ability she has always had. Not that many people will know about it. And so she sees things around all of our Two Rivers folks, and and she sees them connected, which
So
is kind of cool.
were they saying that it was Min that told Moraine about the prophecy that she had
Oh.
20 years previously? Because in the previous episode, they mentioned someone else who gave them the prophecy. But Min talks about how she was in Tarvalon, you know.
She didn't say she told Moraine.
She
just
didn't,
says
but she
that-
had it there. She had it in Tarvalon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering like how that connected to the other prophecy that was overheard. We'll probably get to that at some point, but
Yeah, I think so. So it was interesting that, because I think that's kind of newer.
yeah.
It's not in the book, so I thought that was kind of a really neat thing that she saw. So she knew exactly who it was, and remember this as like her first vision. And it actually, I liked it. And this kind of a book thing where she obviously Min's a character in the book. She has these visions, but it's just kind of like a hey, as the Dark One rises up, some of the old, things that people have are coming back. But in this case, it was pretty much like directly connected to Rand, where we see like people who deal with the Dragon Reborn are altered in ways. And so for her, like, to have that very first vision about the Dragon Reborn and then to now see him was a great like kind of circle on this that I think done really well
Yes.
for the story and for the TV show.
I will say I think the show did an incredibly good job of possibly teasing future love triangles when Rand asked Min what she saw currently, and she said was it carnivals, unicorns, and three beautiful women?
Rainbows, carnivals,
Rainbows, carnivals, and three beautiful women.
which sounded like a joke.
Yeah,
but
that's what I thought it
Yeah.
was.
Let's just say Rand gets around. So
Who's he been with so far? I mean, there was the kitchen, and he didn't actually hook up with the pub wench, did he?
No.
no.
He was kind of like, oh, go in this room.
Yeah.
sit on
You're
the
gonna-
bed."
yeah. First of all, like the
Because he
most
put himself in that position where
Yeah,
like he
the-
wasn't, but it's just like,
Yeah.
what?
like that was the most unrealistic
think
part of the
there's
show so far. Like he wasn't going to turn that down. Anyway, he's from a little village that had sex with one woman. Like, come on. Anyway, but yes, well, depending on how the show decides to do the rest of it, that was either like a little
Nod to book readers.
a little nod to book
or-
reader.
Or
Okay.
a prediction of what's going to happen because
Yeah.
we actually don't know. So at this point, we even said, I think a lot of people from the get-go are like, the way they do this like weird love triangle with him,
Yeah.
it's not going to work for like modern TV audience.
No, it barely worked for me reading it. I'm like, this is a little gross.
So maybe it was a nod where they're going to treat it like a joke and
Yeah.
not like a thing. So we don't know. Like that's the great thing about the show is that I don't even know where it's going at this
Yeah, I mean, like we were flabbergasted after the last episode when Matt didn't come with them because we're like, what? Like again, that was a big book change, but practically they had to do it because that guy isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
So they left him in New Zealand or wherever they were filming. So
That's
I mean,
why.
that's our theory about why he was just left. He just left because I don't know if you noticed it, but the way that scene was filmed looked like it was filmed afterwards.
I'm pretty sure
And they
it
just
was.
paused Matt's image in that
Do a
thing.
replay.
Yeah, watch it again. It looks like they filmed that later, after he was fired or whatever happened to that actor. But I'm excited for season 2, Matt, and future Matt.
Oh, yeah,
So,
me too.
but okay, so that was the episode. They are heading towards the name of the book, The Eye of the World, which is they haven't mentioned it really once yet. But the Eye of the World moves around. It's not just like a place on a map. You have to like want it, and it's in the Blight somewhere. I don't know how much they're going to get into that, but we are headed into the season finale that I'm guessing is going to have a lot of hand gesture weaving things going on. So
It's gonna be exciting. I think it's gonna be. There's a lot going on, so I think there's gonna be a really good episode. I'm really excited for the season finale.
I have one question: is no one going to notice one guy walking from the Waygate to Faldara by himself and wonder, hey,
Right.
how did he get there?
Well, no, because if you notice that when they came in, by the time they make it into the road heading in, they've already met up with other people. Where it's a major city, people are going in and out. When they walked in, there was like a wagon, there was other people. So no, I mean, I think he's just going to blend in with everyone else coming into the city.
Are they-
It wasn't like it was just them
Yeah.
and no one else around for miles and miles. It was when they first landed, but once they got to the road to get in, I mean, it's a town like, or it's a city. Like it's gonna have people going in and out constantly.
I finally heard his whistling as prelude to a bad thing about to happen, which apparently has been happening throughout the season. I just didn't notice.
yeah.
But this is more for Andy because you haven't read the books. I apologize, but are they going to use Pan Fang as like the three bad guys who are sort of at the end of the first book? Like, are they going to make him sort of combined into all of those characters?
I can't imagine.
Okay,
They
because
would,
I don't know
but
what
who
they're gonna
knows?
do with them. Anyway, things that will be answered next week, hopefully. But so, if we had to grade this episode, I'd give it an A plus. It was a great episode.
I'd give it a strong A.
Strong A, like a
For
95,
sure. Yes, like a 95.
94.9.
Yeah. Hey, it had everything for all the viewers.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. And action, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they went through some stuff.
Yeah.
There was like, no, I think it was really good. And I like the fact that they had that action at the beginning. Like, I think, like you said, they could have had that at the very beginning of the whole season.
Right.
yeah.
Of course, I don't know how long people would have waited for 7 seasons to like hear why that was at the beginning, but you know, that kind of scene, like, man,
I mean, Game of Thrones started with that. It started with
Yeah.
those, the whatever they were called.
White Walkers.
No, well, yeah, the people going out to investigate a White Walker's appearance, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
seeing the weird corpses thing, and then all getting murdered.
Oh, yeah.
and then they don't really explain it.
Yeah, no, they kill that guy later in episode 1, and then you don't really talk about it again until like season 4.
Yeah,
So,
people hang on. They wait 8
Yeah.
seasons to figure out winter's coming.
hi puppy. We have a dog here on set. So yeah, we're the end of season 1 / book 1 is next week, and honestly, after all my complaints about what they cut out, I feel pretty satisfied at this point. So they have to nail the ending, which really they don't have a lot of instruction on because the book doesn't really nail the ending. So
Yeah. I hope
I'm
they
looking
actually
forward.
improve upon the
Yeah.
ending of the book.
It's
Like,
very confusing. So
his book endings are not great.
no,
It's very confusing. So I'm actually hoping they do a better job, and I think they will. Like, at this point, I have full trust in Rafe and the whole team.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
so Sarah, just like postulating here, how do you think the season's going to end? What do you think's going to happen?
Okay, so you just introduced the 3 bad guys
Mm-hmm.
that I have no knowledge of. So I already asked Andy, I said, Matt's going to be the dark one. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the villain. He's already got a little bit of darkness in him. And then in this episode, Moraine sent the message home for specifically, I can't remember her name, the red.
Yeah, the Red Azure.
To go talk to the Red
Yeah,
Azure.
Yeah.
like why specifically her?
Well, because they hunt men. So that's really labeling Matt as a threat.
Mhm.
And she did it through that one woman because the woman had trained in the tower. She was an Aes Sedai because I think it got into a little bit in the show, but sometimes royalty or different like leaders will go and train the women will train in the White Tower even if they don't have enough magic to do anything, just to kind of like get that training. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of colleges.
She had the ring, but no stone in it.
Yeah.
Kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she can't channel, but she did get training there. And so like a lot of people would go for like a short time, but if you don't have the power, then you can't continue on. And
So I think the rest of the party is definitely going into the blight as we speak. They are trying to catch up right now.
Yeah. It's
They
not.
are
Yeah.
not going to be left behind. They're not going to hang out in the town
No.
and just shop or spend time or
Yeah.
whatever they're going to do.
I mean, how much
know.
headway, like how much of a lead time does Rand actually really have at this point? So like an hour?
they have no other purpose but
Yeah.
to go into the blight with their group, and they're all committed. They're
Yeah.
going.
so,
So-
since we've talked about predictions and things, since as a non-book reader, because you also messaged me about what you thought about the Dragon Reborn.
Yes,
so
let's
let's
talk
just go
about
and get
that.
into it now because it had been teasing it. We knew it, but we'd been teasing it all season, and then they revealed it.
So I am the only girl in the room right now, so I don't know how much support. Oh, actually, I've got another lady down here over here. I thought, typical. It's like the one hot white guy on the show is the special one. Like, would the storyline be the same if it was 2021? We're writing these stories. Like, maybe it could have been the girl, one of the girls. Maybe it could have been the other guy. Like of course, it's him because he's the good-looking guy. He's the jock. He's the Zach Morris of the group.
He is oh my God, he is the Zach Morris of the
definitely
group.
going to be in charge. So
I feel like it's funny. There's a string of TV shows where they make like the main protagonist is like the most boring character.
yeah,
It's kind of always that way.
It's almost like a trope now. Like Zach Morris was like one of the worst people like on that show. How I Met Your Mother, like the
Right.
worst. Like everyone else was really interesting, and I feel like in this show, and it's kind of this way in the book, but in the show, like everyone's more interesting than Rand at this point.
Yeah. And I guess like the show, I mean, it would have been very interesting if the show had decided to change who the Dragon Reborn was. But if they had made it a woman, it really would have required a lot of later work because of the sort of gendered nature of how magic works in this world and how it's only the male side that has been tainted. So if it was a woman, then all of their issues with the Dragon Reborn wouldn't exist. Because like the whole concern is that the Dragon Reborn's gonna go nuts and kill everybody. Yeah. Which I would have been okay with them trying that, but I think here's the thing: Rand in the book is not that interesting either. So it's not like
He becomes more interesting, but he starts off.
Yeah, I mean, he's. I would say by the end, he's maybe almost an interesting character. But it's the other characters who are more interesting, mostly the women characters, and even the other male characters who don't have the expectation of being the chosen one on them. They have a plot freedom to go do other things. Rand's path going forward is pretty laid out, and from a viewer standpoint, not the most interesting to watch. So let it be the cute ginger. I don't care.
And I would just like to say, yeah, even in the, because I not only read the books a lot, but also like would get into the online forums and people talking about it. I've never heard anyone ever say that Rand was their favorite character.
Yeah,
he's not. Like, obviously he drives a lot of the story, but as far as like personality and stuff like that, or just like really interesting things, it's just not there.
Like, is Frodo your favorite character? Is Harry Potter your favorite character? I mean, it's not mine for either of those. So main characters are usually not the most interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I also want to say that, like, when she said that, I'm like, yeah, but this was also a book written in like the late 80s, early 90s when it started, where, that's pretty much typical.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like if the books were written now, it would be different. It would be 100% a different story.
And I know like it's hard to sort of see these things and view them as different than what they should be, but in the world of Wheel of Time, Rand and the Aiel, the people who are he from, they are the ones looked down on as weird and other, even though they are white and red-haired mostly. So the world sort of switched the sort of racial dynamic we as Americans live in, and you don't necessarily notice that in the book so much because they aren't constantly showing you what people look like. But I actually find that kind of interesting. Like in this world, a white red-haired person would not normally be the hero. It would be someone who looks like Perrin or Matt or even Nynaeve or Egwene, because that's what the majority of the world looks like, I guess.
Well, and then, okay, so Min, right? Min?
Yes.
She was telling Moraine in the first visit to the pub that all of them are connected. All four of them are connected. So immediately I was like, okay, they have to go together. Even if 3 of them are going to die, it's only going to work. They're only going to win, or I guess not join the Dark One.
I don't know.
They're all 4 connected.
I don't know why the show is doing this. If you go and you're not the Dragon Reborn, you're going to die thing, because that just leads to her being proven wrong if the show does anything close to what the book does. And I feel like that's an unnecessary added seriousness to an already serious situation.
Yeah, I think the threat's already there.
The threat's already there. They don't need to make it like, well, if I'm wrong, we're all fucked. The Dragon Reborn could die. So he's literally been reborn multiple times. That's his literal name. So it's not like anyone could die in these situations. So, but anyway.
And our village has been burned down. We've been almost killed a million times at this point. We've traveled this far. We're all committed.
Yeah. Like everyone's on board. So even though like I'm really, really getting tired of them being like, Moraine, can we trust her? Like, shut up. Like, she already saved your life multiple times now. Stop it.
But that is definitely very book accurate.
I hate it in the book and I hate it now.
Right.
Like, Rand, like, drop your privilege a little bit and think about it for a second.
Well,
like, Matt's an asshole. Leave him.
But and I get this because Robert Jordan in some interviews talked about this, but yeah, in movies and TV shows and books, when like the wise old person like comes up and is like, hey, I'm going to lead you on the right path. They're like, of course they are, because that's what it does. But in real life, if someone came and told you like, you're going to fight the dark, and you're just like, I don't know you. Who are you?
Yeah.
Like,
but
maybe you're like taking me there because you were like, gonna like working for the Dark One. You're trying to get me there. Like, I can understand why you'd have that doubt and.
Yeah, at first.
Oh, that's another. So does everybody know about the Dark One, even when they're just living as farm boys?
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
women
yeah.
in the 2 rivers, they knew about the
yeah,
because like knowing about the devil now.
Yeah, because there's a whole thing about how you're not supposed to say the term Dark One out loud, in the books at least. So he's got lots of different names and whatnot, and like, so yeah,
it's like Harry Potter.
Okay.
Yeah.
the he shall not be named.
Yeah. But yes, it's very much like a god devil sort of situation. Like even if you're an atheist, you know what the devil is. So, but yeah. So okay. So we've reviewed the episode. We have rated it. Should we bring out our new toy?
Sure.
I'll insert some interesting music here.
Can you see it? All right.
Oh, sorry.
You scared the dog.
I'm sorry, puppy. We have the wheel of topics.
I think you're falling asleep on your toe, by the way.
Now, you viewers cannot actually see what's written on this wheel, so you're just gonna have to trust me that when I spin it, I will read what's actually on it. But here we go. I'm gonna hold it.
And I'm gonna go ahead and describe it for the people who are listening to it and not watching. I also wanted to say that for those of you who are listening and not watching, we're slowly getting more and more into costume as we do this. So we have our, very Wheel of Time themed coats on.
Yep.
As time goes on, we might get more and more into costume, or at least I will, because I like to.
There's not enough hats in the show yet. I would like some more hats, please. So, all right. So we spin this. All right, here we go.
So we're spinning the wheel, going around. You can probably hear in the background, and it is landing on
Matt. Matt? Question mark.
Question mark.
Okay. So, where's Matt? Like my question, like it'd be pretty funny if he was just sitting outside the other way gate, just being like, "What am I gonna do now?"
I'm really interested in the storyline because we don't know. Like
Yeah.
you said, this is not what happens. I have no idea what he's gonna do. Is he gonna, stumble into his own army? Is he going to, start wreaking havoc in Tarvalon? Is he going to, try to head back home? I have no idea.
There's
Round up the horses. And
Yeah.
be an actual horse trader.
yeah.
If they come back and he's just like successful horse,
God, that would be amazing. That'd be hilarious.
I am legitimately.
That'd be hilarious.
Instead of he's like, "What are your skills as a horse trader?" And she was like, "That was a great line."
I mean,
I told you.
we all know that the Matt character has been recasted for season 2. So is the next time we see Matt gonna be the new actor? And if so, how are they gonna write that? Like, are they just gonna have him run into the rest of the characters and they're all gonna be like Matt and just pretend like nothing's changed?
I would say probably.
All right.
I mean, that's what they did for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's true, but that was a much smaller character.
They also did that on Roseanne with the sister.
That's true.
I think we can buy it.
Yeah, we can buy it. I'm interested in the process. Like, how do you sort of wink at the audience when it happens, or do you just play it off like nothing has happened?
Or throw in something where like he's in a major fight and he's just like bloodied up. And then when he heals up, he just like looks completely different.
Yeah.
It's
It's like, ooh, Matt, did you get some work done? That sort of thing. So
Did the dagger stay behind or did it go with them through the way?
we don't
know.
Well, because again, a book change was that in the book the dagger has to stay near him for a while, or otherwise it would cause him harm. But in the show, they were like, no, take the knife away. So I think the knife's still in Tarvalon.
Well, and it also, the show made it seem like he was completely healed. But then she says, no, he's not completely healed yet. So I'm not sure how they're going to play that.
That's very interesting. All right.
So
Yes.
in the book, because in the books, it doesn't have to be this way, but the dagger plays a prominent role and kind of like what starts off the second book. So if it's
I totally forgot that.
not there, or if he's completely healed, they could still go on there, but they're going to have to come up with another reason. So we don't know.
Listen, I'm for the people listening / watching, the thing I am most interested in for pretty much the rest of the show is how they handle Matt's story and what happens to Matt, because some fucked up shit happens to Matt, and I don't know how they're visually going to show some of those things, and I'm both excited and scared. So
I think it's gonna be great.
I hope so, because it's real weird. It's probably the weirdest stuff Robert Jordan gets into, and I don't know how they're gonna how Emerson's gonna handle that. But
so I really think that the storyline actually gets much, much better after the first book. So
Yes.
I'm really good. The characters all get more interesting.
yep,
They go through a lot more stuff. And so this is very, it had to be to introduce like a big world this size. It's great. And I loved it. And it really definitely got me into it. And I'm loving the season, but it's, not as interesting.
It's not the best stuff, yeah.
Except for just introducing it. We're like, man, this world's really cool. And then all the really interesting things to the characters happen later.
it's a real Harry Potter Sorcerer's Stone sort of situation where the first book isn't really that interesting. It just sort of
Introduce the characters. But there's not a lot of nuance yet.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of they don't have to go through as many like really hard, tasks.
Yeah.
And
Like
troubles.
the book 1 of Wheel of Time is very much like the first 2 Harry Potter books, and then it starts to get interesting. So
So do you think he has an actual hit out on him currently? Like he's going to be
Yeah.
detained or killed or
well,
just supervised?
so the
or-
the Reds only hurt men who can channel. And so I don't know what they're going to do when they find Matt and he can't actually channel because he can't.
So that seemed really weird to me that Moraine would do that as a show where I was like, okay, this isn't character, but I after thinking about it more, I think it is because they're not going to kill him. They can't, he can't channel, so they're not going to do anything for that where they cut off the power. They can only detain him, which is what she needs.
Ooh, with the false dragon?
Maybe
Do they hang out?
that would be a buddy episode that I would like to see. Actually,
Well, shall we spin the wheel again?
Yeah.
All right. This just lives in my house now, by the way. Love triangle. All right.
okay, yeah, this is right.
Okay, so the show finally, just right out loud, mentions what I guess they've been teasing the entire season so far, which is that there was a weird love triangle between Perrin, Rand, and Egwene.
Egwene.
I'm never gonna be able to pronounce their names right.
Yeah, which I was kind of unexpected because I thought they kind of a little bit hinted about it before when they were just on their own, and you had some weird Rand jealousy, but this definitely came out, so it's like, okay, definitely when them growing up,
It's been a
there
thing.
was some interest, and then
okay, yeah.
he went and got married, and Rand and Egwene got together, so it, I think there maybe is some jealousy, and also then some kind of like, guy kind of showing off, bumping chest kind of thing.
Here's the thing. I don't care. I don't care about love triangles. They're dumb. They're tropes. Like, let's just move on. Like you're about to go face the sort of end of the world. Like, get over your own bullshit. Anyway, that's my thoughts. That's Jesse's corner on love triangles.
Well, for the sake of the show, there does need to be a little bit of sex if it's not a kid's show.
That's true.
There's gotta, be a little bit of that. But as far as the books go, yeah.
Well, in the books, there's
Like
not any
that.
at this point. They're a little
Yeah.
bit younger. So when you're in it's also, they're in their 20s now, so they should be.
Yeah.
And when you're in your 20s and you're young, you're going to have sex.
Yeah.
Especially in a world that doesn't have organized religion,
That's true.
yeah, then you're going to do it.
I will say that brings up one point the show hasn't really done yet, which is a sort of the Wheel of Time universe curses that exist. They've not done enough of those yet. There's a lot of specific to the world of Wheel of Time curses.
So we heard our first one in this episode.
We did. When?
So Uno, they didn't mention him by name, but there is Uno is one of the guys at Faldara. He has the eye patch, which is why he's called Uno. And he is known in the books to curse a lot,
Yes.
but it's Wheel of Time cursing. And so he says, and I don't remember the exact thing, but it's like, it's bloody good to see you. And they use bloody a lot as kind of the F-bomb.
Blood and ashes is like the Jesus Christ, I would say.
Blood and
almost.
ashes?
Yeah,
Okay.
blood and ashes.
Okay.
There's
But there's also some weird ones like mother's milk.
I think I heard that one.
I don't remember.
There's something tea. Man, I should be able to just rattle all these off. Because when I was a teenager and reading these for the first time, I started using these curses because I am a nerd and
It's
did
a
not have any friends.
it's a real Bellstar
That's what I
frac
meant,
sort
fracking.
of
So you
situation.
fracking, I just look
Yeah.
for somebody to be like, oh, I got it. Okay.
It's like
Okay.
frack you. It's like friends. We're friends
Yeah.
now. But yeah, blood and ashes is a very popular curse in the books. So hopefully we get more of those. I like that. That makes me feel like the world's been lived in because you need curses because
you do. So I
how
think
else
that
we
was
can
a good
yeah.
Easter egg.
Yeah, like tell me what a character does when they hit their foot against something really hard. Tell me what they say. That's how I know a world is real.
So, and also I really love, we haven't gotten to our favorites and not favorites.
Oh, that's true.
So, I'll save it for the favorites.
All right. Let's do one more
more?
wheel spin. Yeah.
All right. So you're spinning the wheel again.
It's
going around.
It's your time.
It's going through lots of colors and it's slowing down to
Sexy time. All right.
Okay, so yeah,
Sexy
we kind
time.
of got into a little bit, but let's get into it more.
So we had at least 2 sex scenes, at least in this episode. Lan and Nynaeve, and definitely Rand and Egwene.
Yeah.
Got busy. Again, the show is very weirdly prude about the sex scenes. It's like, oh, Lan has his shirt off. So we only get to see parts of Lan's body apparently. And we've seen Lan's butt and his chest. So which
Give
is
people what they want.
yeah. He's got scars because he's a real man. Both external scars and internal scars.
Right, but I think I think there's actually like plot
Thank
for
you.
it to actually see him.
That's true.
To see just kind of how like bloodied up he is.
Listen, the scars remind us the past is real. I'm gonna keep saying that
please
every time.
stop.
All right. He has to tear his heart open just to feel.
And I thought this was a realistic way they did it, because here's the thing: if you're about to like go into a place where you're gonna die, yeah, I'm having sex.
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
I'm getting on. It's
Everybody.
gonna be freaky. I'm gonna try things that I wouldn't normally try. So I'm like,
It's gonna be real
this is the last
real
time.
exploratory.
You know, it's like, man, I never thought I would do that, but hey, let's give it a go.
But Lan is so like nonchalant because wasn't he even like when he was having the pillow talk with the other guy who passed, and he was like, "Yeah, I've been with a couple guys." Like he mentioned he had been with a variety of people.
Oh,
in his
yeah.
past.
So-
like, he nonchalantly was like, "Yeah, guys, girls, multiple guys."
You know, so I think that I don't remember exactly, but yeah. So in it, Lan's a good-looking guy. Everything else, he's with Moraine, but they're not together. So Moraine has kind of her love. She doesn't quite in the book, but it's she is on her mission, everything else. And so when you're going around, you're traveling around in different cities. You're not going to be there long. You have like a bunch of love affairs, but you don't get emotionally connected. And I think that this is the first time where he's being like emotionally going, oh, this is not just,
Right.
A one night thing. Like this is someone who's like
Join my
challenges
family.
me, who I can open up to. And so I think we start to see that. I think they show that.
In the show's already mentioned this, but Moraine is able to shield her bond from Lan. Lan can't do the same, right?
No, he can.
He can't. Okay, so like Moraine didn't feel him having sex with Nynaeve.
No.
Okay, because that'd be even
Well,
freakier.
not
Maybe.
mentioned explicitly. My guess is.
Yeah. Okay. I like how that's how Lan knows something's wrong or Moraine's having sexy time. It's like she shielded my bond,
Yeah.
and it's the daytime, so it's not sexy time. So she's in trouble.
It's like a flight or fight. It's a fuck or fight response.
Let's go back to the scars for a second. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Those are some very artistic scars, by the way. You always know the Hollywood scars when they like still look nice. So, but anyway,
So we want to go over our likes and
yeah,
dislikes.
let's do it. Let's do it.
So-
I mean, we're all gonna say this, but that fight scene, holy crap, that fight scene was fantastic.
So
It
good.
teases. It gives you so much about the backstory, but also teases future storylines because she is not the first Aiel warrior we're gonna meet, and they are all that awesome, and I'm excited for it. I'm here for it because fuck those guys.
And if she had lived, could you imagine the guilt trip she could lay on her future child?
Seriously.
Must be like, I was in labor for 3 hours. I killed 5 men.
Like a guy just
Uphill
stabbed
in
me
the
in the
snow.
stomach.
Okay,
Yeah,
uphill in the
Uphill
snow.
in the snow.
So I don't want to hear about you not cleaning your
Right.
room.
yeah. A guy fucking
Like, they
stabbed
come up
me
all the time.
A guy fucking stabbed me in the stomach that you were in. So you clean your fucking room.
So yeah, clean your
Yeah.
room. Take the trash out, okay? I don't want to have to tell the story again.
Yeah. I mean, so what's funny is like that scene was so bright and intense. And then they go into the ways where, like, yes, the ways are dark. Like, that's how they're described in the book. I also thought it was a fun excuse to, like, not spend a lot of money on the budget, right?
Oh, yeah.
For a very quick scene. They're like, yeah, it's dark.
I think they spent it on the ways that
Right.
that were better anyway.
Yeah. And the ways, God, like another good TV show change. They're in the ways for a lot longer, and we didn't need it. And I'm glad they cut it.
Yeah, this
'cause
was quick. It was
Good God.
And they hinted that it's like a day's travel and they might have
Yeah.
to maybe sleep over, but it wasn't quite as long.
I'm still annoyed they got rid of their horses because they took the horses into the ways in the book and like don't get rid of your horses.
Oh,
They're
they
kind of
did?
handy. Yeah, horses are handy in
okay.
any world that cars don't exist. So maybe keep your horses, you dum dums. Anyway,
That was the first episode. Like the Marine's horse is so beautiful that I just
Yeah.
immediately started Googling who is that celebrity horse? Like what is it? Where is like what else has it been on? And then it actually has a name and
Yeah, can you tell us anything about
oh gosh, what's the name?
that? It
It's
goes
like,
back in the first
it's like
episode.
Buttercup or something. It's not Buttercup, but it really does have a name.
Well-
What is the horse's name?
It's interesting because there's a named horse in it. So it's the very first horse that they leave the village with.
Yes,
It's called Bella.
Bella.
Her
Okay,
name is
Isabella.
Bella.
Her name is Bella.
hashtag justice for Bella.
Justice for
Yes,
Bella's because
yeah.
then they really don't. You can't tell if Bella's still with them.
Yeah.
Because there's with a lot of horses.
And they never
all the horses go.
Yeah, they never like
Because
Bella.
Bella stays throughout the entire
Yeah,
series.
Bella's like Rand's horse that he's had since he was a kid.
Oh, Rand's
like,
horse.
Yeah, like it's
was thinking Marines.
Yeah, no, I mean, Moraine has a beautiful like
Well,
white
no,
horse.
but the one named in the book.
Yeah.
Not Moraine.
Oh, okay.
No, it actually it
Well,
is
yeah.
named in the book.
It has a name. I read
Yeah.
about like the
It has a
horse
name.
wiki or whatever.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's named in the books.
Yeah.
But Bella is like the main horse character.
Yes.
But Land's horse stays throughout most of the series.
Yep.
I cannot remember that horse's name.
I like how we're professionals at this. We don't remember anyone's name.
I mean,
It's a lot. Listen. It's 14 books. There's a lot of names.
Yeah.
There's
There's a lot.
thousands of characters. There's lots of horses. Some of them die. It's sad. All right. So that was my that was my TV show like, and my
your
book
dislike?
like. My dislike. Again, the love triangle. Don't care. I. It's not that I don't like the actor who plays Rand's performance. It's almost too Rand-like. It's just he's annoying me, which he should be because that's what he does in the book too. So, like, let's move on past Rand.
So my favorite parts is the level of detail that they're going to, from costumes to what things look like. And so one of the I wouldn't even call this an Easter egg. It's just like attention to detail. So during the AO War, obviously in the books we know a lot more about the history. So Rand's dad has armor with bees on it, which is the symbol for Ilion. And so you can tell just from that scene, if you're a book person, I mean, you already know anyway, but like who he's fighting for, what side he's on. And then like, if you didn't know, like how he got there from the two rivers for like a totally fighting for a different country. But like just down to the armor and like those kind of things where if you follow the book, you're like, man, that detail's amazing. Cause I wouldn't have even thought about it until I saw it. I'm like, the bees. Yes. Yes, because in my head, I don't even imagine that. But like watching it, I'm like, this is better than I imagined, which sometimes is really hard in TV shows and movies. We're like, oh, I actually imagine this different and better. But because of special effects, you can't make it quite as good as you can in your head. In some cases, from the weavings down to some of this other stuff, I'm like, this is actually better. I'm now, when I go back and reread it, because I'm assuming I will at some point, I do pretty much every couple of years anyway, that I'll be like, oh, some of this will probably still be kind of the original way I did it. And some of it will be brand new because I'll be imagining it in this better way. So that was my like. My dislike. The love triangle was a little weird. And then, it was both good and bad, but yeah, like the Algamar and his kind of like super defensive and stuff like that is appropriate, 100% appropriate. Yeah. It's, I was like, oh, it's a character that I loved to just not be able to like, oh, what a douchebag and dislike right away, which is, I guess, not a bad thing because I actually really like the way they portrayed it. So, you know what? I don't even have a super negative so far on this episode.
Well, yeah. Well, what was your thought about the blight and how it looked?
Oh, yeah.
It's not anything what I expected, which is happening a lot in this thing. It's fine. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm leaving until next episode. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of it and maybe it'll make more sense. But for now, I'm just like,
How about you, Sarah?
Okay, so I love this episode. There is something for everybody. I loved it. I wish it was 2 hours. I wish the last 2 episodes would be 2 hours and just get everything squeezed in. Honestly, on the fight scene, it was very like 300. Like it had that delayed, like almost like, did you get a different director for this fight scene? Like this is an entirely different film crew. I mean, it's cool, but it is not shot like in any way, shape, or form like the rest of the show or any of the other episodes so far.
I will say the showrunner came out and talked about that scene specifically and how they wanted to make it very clear that she wasn't using magic in any way, that it was a real battle, right? Okay. That she's just that awesome. And I thought they did a very good job of showing that there wasn't any magic involved. That was just real people fighting. And one was just a much better soldier than the rest of them. But yeah, it's looked different than any other part of the show so far.
And I think they didn't necessarily need to do that either.
Right.
Like, I think the choreography and the way they shot it was so good anyway. This added to if it was like its own thing, but yeah, it didn't have the same vibe.
I like the ways that they showed. I mean, if a monster would have come out, it would have been very difficult to make it look authentic or some type of like good CGI. So just having the wind was nice. You can kind of imagine what was in the wind. The voice that Rand heard at the very end that he said, "You are the Dragon Reborn," is the exact same voice of the Dark Whisper. Like, so I kind of was like, wait, is it true? Are they just trying to like trick him? Like, why is he getting, it's like the same kind of like that gritty whisper.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, did you notice it, the longer it talked, the more it became whoever whoever was hearing it, became closer to their voice.
Oh.
If you listen to it like either with headphones on, which I did at one point while watching the episode, the voice changes from like a beginning evil to mixing in the character's voice as it keeps talking. So
So it's definitely like reading their thoughts.
yeah, it's
You know what,
becoming
I'm gonna
them.
go back
yeah.
and listen to it again.
It's
Okay,
it's
that's
actually
interesting.
it's actually really well done because by the time Rand hears "You Are the Dragon Reborn," it's almost nearly his voice if you listen to it really closely. So
the nuance of the show.
yeah, like there's like listen, I'm a podcast producer, so sound is my jam now. They did a really good job with the sound design of that voice, which you wouldn't watching it in this bar here, you would not have noticed. So go back, listen to it again, and but yeah, it was very much like just like creepy voice. But they did do a couple interesting things. So that's something I forgot to mention earlier, but I really enjoyed.
That's
so
cool. That's interesting.
Nynaeve and Moraine's sound vision, it's very clearly their voice at the end, just because their voices are very distinctive. You don't spend enough time with Perrin to really hear it, or Lan, and you don't with Rand until he flashes back to it. So, but it's when Nynaeve hears her own voice saying that they're all going to die is when she freaks out. So,
Well, that, and then I also thought it was like when they're like, you can't save them. I'm like, oh, you don't tell Nynaeve that.
do not tell Nynaeve what she can't do.
If you're gonna like
All right.
trigger anyone in any way, it's telling Nynaeve
Yeah.
she can't do things. Like that's definitely like even in the book, everything else where it's like you can't do that. Watch me.
Yeah.
Like more than any other character, anything like it's just like yeah.
She is Locke from Lost. Do not tell her what she can't do.
Right.
Anyway, so did you have any dislikes?
No, I just thought it was really good. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens with Perrin. I really like. I guess I grew up reading the werewolf and vampire stuff that a lot of people really go down the wormhole into. So of course it was like, oh, he's a werewolf. I know that doesn't exist here yet, but I am excited to see what he's able to do with his specific powers.
I'm excited for which we got teased. Thank you to viewer Jason Avery for pointing this out. That in the last episode with Moraine and the Emerald seat, where what he thinks they went to was into the dream world is where their rendezvous was. And if that's the case, then like we're gonna get a lot more of the dream world going forward. So I'm very
That
excited
would be
about
actually
that.
really interesting. That might make.
I'm not
more
even gonna.
sense than
I
the
am
other
not
stuff.
gonna try to pronounce the word for the dream world in Wheel of Time because it's impossible. So, unless you want to give it a shot, Andy.
I'm gonna wait for the next episode.
Okay. Well, thank you all. This was a great episode. It was a great episode of the show. It was a okay episode of the pod.
I'm excited to be on.
It is
Thank you.
really great hearing an opinion from someone
It really
who
is.
came into it with really fresh eyes, everything else. And really interesting to hear like your predictions and stuff for the end. I think that's really interesting. Like having, like if I didn't know the book, having Matt like become one of the bad guys makes total sense.
That's a great idea. Like I want that to happen now.
And it could happen. Who knows? Whether
That's
they're
true.
gonna go at this
Yeah.
point.
I mean, they could merge. There's so many characters and so many plot lines. They could merge a couple to make a really completely different story.
They're gonna
in some
have to.
ways. Yeah.
Like I feel like there's way too many
There's way too many characters.
bad guys. There's way too many characters. Like even like the side characters, they've managed to merge like
Yeah.
every end they've gone into like one person. You know, it's like good.
Like in the book, you meet so many people in Faldara, and you're like,
They
God,
all have names.
do I have to keep track of all these people? And you do. And they were like, no, here's one person.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier. 'Cause
Here's the
there's
king.
So many names in the
Yeah.
book, and then they'll come back like 2 books later, and we're like, that random person in N not only had a name, but like is now back doing stuff. I'm like, who's that person?
Yeah.
And like I get it now, but like for the first time I read it through, I'm just like, what is going
Right.
on?
Yeah. Game of Thrones did that very well, and I feel like Wheel of Time is going to do that pretty. Wheel of Time has no choice but to do
I
that.
think
So
Wheel of Time, like this whole like that's Cat's Paw. Like that dagger is Cat's Paw. That's like the same. That's like that. The same dagger from from Game of Thrones.
yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
just like it.
It is pretty similar.
Listen, I mean, they filmed it in New Zealand. Like, there's pretty much 3 companies now that make all movie type weapons now.
Yeah.
We're all born out of Lord of the Rings, so everything looks great now. I
Well,
love
they're
it.
not filming in New Zealand.
Not anymore. You'll know. Sorry, that was sorry. Other show.
I was gonna say no.
This was in Croatia and
Prague.
In
Yeah,
Prague.
so
Croatia
they-
was Game of Thrones too.
part of it.
Right?
Yeah. Well, Game of Thrones was all over the place. Yeah, like Ireland,
Spain.
Iceland, Spain.
They went all over for the stuff. So this is mostly like Croatia and like they're
Yeah.
based out of Prague for like a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
I know because I was going there as they were filming and I was trying to find a way.
I
to,
remember
like, make it
you
on.
were
I was
texting
like-
me about it.
Yeah, so I was like translating like all these like Prague like websites so I could like go audition for like the background scenes and stuff like that while I was there because I knew they were filming and it just
Like,
did not
I can be a
work out.
peasant.
So I'm like, I don't just anything. Like I will do anything, and I was not able to. But that would have been my dream. But they're filming more episodes. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, so thank you all for, truly, we've had some really great Facebook and Google comments. Thank you for caring about this thing that we do. And we'll see you next time on the season finale of season 1 of both Wheel of Time and the Wheel of Pod.
Yes.
A good day. What's a good Wheel of Time saying goodbye thing? Like they say goodbye. They don't have like an expression, do they?
Not really. Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, I'm gonna edit this part out. But probably.
Yeah.
Bye.
Edit it out. We'll edit it out.